What's going on, YouTube? My name is Chris, and we are the Resistance. Today I'm bringing you a video to explain a little bit about who George Soros is. You might have seen him on Fox News. Recently, an interviewer was talking to Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, and he brought up George Soros funding the Antifa riots that have been plaguing the cities, and he was cut off and told not to be brought into this. So I just figured I would make a quick video kind of explaining who George Soros is and kind of show you some of the history behind him and let you make your own judgment.
What's it like to have a statement that you make have such serious, grievous consequences? I mean, you can, it looks to me like in a number of situations you can take a position against a currency or make a statement, and the whole country falls apart.
And it's also a humbling experience because I am actually trying to do the right thing, and sometimes what I do has an unintended negative consequence, as it did in Russia.
When the Nazis occupied Budapest in 1944, George Soros' father was a successful lawyer. He lived on an island in the Danube and liked to commute to work in a rowboat. But knowing there were problems ahead for the Jews, he decided to split his family up. He bought them forged papers, and he bribed a government official to take 14-year-old George Soros in and swear that he was his Christian godson. But survival carried a heavy price tag. While hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews were being shipped off to the death camps, George Soros accompanied his phony godfather on his appointed rounds, confiscating property from the Jews.
These are pictures from 1944 of what happened to George Soros' friends and neighbors.
You're a Hungarian Jew who escaped the Holocaust by posing as a Christian.
Right.
And you watched lots of people get shipped off to the death camps.
Right.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes, yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
Not at all. No.
No feeling of guilt?
No.
For example, that I'm Jewish, and here I am watching these people go, I could just as easily be there, I should be there, none of that.
There was no sense that I shouldn't be there, because that was guilt.
Are you religious?
No.
Do you believe in God?
No.
Soros told us he believes God was created by man, not the other way around, which may be why he thinks he can smooth out the world's imperfections.
Whether I or somebody else does whatever is happening in the markets really doesn't make any difference to the outcome. I don't feel guilty because I'm engaged in an amoral activity which is not meant to have anything to do with guilt.
Part of the reason he is so rich is that the Soros hedge funds operate offshore in the Netherlands Antilles to avoid scrutiny by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So even while Soros tells Congress and the Treasury that hedge funds must be regulated to stop the global crisis, he's avoiding the rules.
So as you can see, George Soros has been into multiple different affairs since he has been a young child, mostly having to do with confiscation of property and fraud. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you a couple little articles and news clips that I have found. Hopefully you'll find some use out of them. First one, Investopedia. How did George Soros break the Bank of England? So if you read through here, it'll go on basically to say that George Soros has single-handedly manipulated the British pound and was able to essentially make it worth nothing. So he was able to come in, buy low, sell high kind of thing, and he shut down the British pound. I mean, this is easy stuff to find. I mean, you don't have to look very hard. George Soros crashes British pound. We go through our lovely trusty Google Corporation here. First thing, 5 days ago. I mean, this goes back quite a while. So you may be wondering how George Soros ties into all of the things that are going on currently. So if you take a look at the New York Times here, Soros adds intrigue and $800,000 to DA race backing progressive. This is from the New York Times, the holy grail of information. So if you go and you read into this, it explains that George Soros is electing these DAs, these district attorneys of certain cities, who are then able to turn any criminals that they come across back out into general population, and therefore committing crimes all over again. So the cycle just starts back. It's never ending. So he's funding the riots is the claim, but we know for sure that he is funding these district attorneys. I mean, you can look this stuff up, like I said, if you can Google search this stuff, and it's not very hard to find. Politico, quiet overhaul of the U.S. justice system. I mean, it's all right out in the open. They don't even try to hide it. So with knowing how George Soros backs these district attorneys that let these criminals back out onto the streets, I'm going to show you a video of them demanding for payment from George Soros, these Antifa rioters. Because, you know, this is all a conspiracy that he's paying these people, but when they don't get paid, they seem awful upset at him. So Soros, where's my money? George Soros, where's my money? George Soros, where's my money? As you can see, they don't look like very peaceful protesters demanding money from George Soros. Awful weird if they're peaceful protesters demanding money from George Soros.
This also isn't normal. There's something going on here. This is like the FBI needs to be involved.
What do you mean something's going on,
racket.
Senator? What do you mean something's going on? You've got a feeling. Tell us what you think.
My feeling is that there is interstate criminal traffic being paid for across state lines, but you won't know it unless you arrest them. Otherwise, you just think, oh, these are the, some normal hoodlums from a big city. I promise you that at least some of the members and the people who attacked us were not from D.C. They flew here on a plane. They've all got fresh new clothes, and they were paid to be here. It is a crime to do that, and it needs to be traced. The FBI needs to investigate, but the only way you can do it is you have to arrest people. And
there was Senator Rand Paul talking about these Antifa rioters and asking basically that we need to figure out where this is coming from, because like he said, they have new clothes, they have plane tickets, they're staying in very nice hotels.
Speaker Gingrich, I know you have a final thought for us.
Yeah, look, the number one problem in almost all these cities is George Soros elected left-wing, anti-police, pro-criminal district attorneys who refuse to keep people locked up. Just yesterday, they put somebody back on the street who's wanted for 2 different murders in New York City. You cannot solve this problem, and both Harris and Biden have talked very proudly about what they call progressive district attorneys. Progressive district attorneys are anti-police, pro-criminal, and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros' money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this.
I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars he spent?
I agree with what was said. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Okay. So it's verboten.
All right, we're going to... Okay, we're going to move on.
So as you can see, George Soros' name is a sore subject, kind of that, like that of Lord Voldemort. Intimidation is the biggest key factor. He has a lot of money and power and is able to extort people and scare them into submission. So this is just a video I brought. Hopefully I provided some insight, some information. This is my first video on my channel. Please make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and turn the notification bell on if you'd like to see more videos like this one. The video production quality will get better as time goes on, but like I said, for now this is my first video, so I am working with what I have. But thank you guys, and remember, we are the resistance, and without you this would not be possible. Thank you.